in upstate New York, in the Finger Lakes. Nice to see you, buddy, and all of you. So good to be able to get together like this beautiful day, in this beautiful way, and connect, raise the spirit, have a Sabbath, a day of rest for ordinary activities or preoccupations, and turn our gaze upward, inward, deeper, however you want to look at it, not just religious, but spiritually, consciously, intentionally, mindfully. There's so much going on in the world and so much to take care of, be concerned about, not the least of what kind of world and environment and atmosphere we're leaving to our next generations. But irrationally, whenever I talk to and see the young people, I'm encouraged by the optimism, enthusiasm, hope, savvy, and smarts, and just the light in their eyes and in their being. Although when I hear the news, it could be, I don't want to say depressing, but saddening. So we have to find the balance here, don't we? And do our part and stick around for them and get out of their way, the younger people, but also back them and be there. Keep our attention on them and with them and for them. The pandemic, the socioeconomic situation of injustice and inequality, the politicization of healthcare. I don't have to go into all these things, but now is a break from all that, to breathe, relax, and smile, to have a Sabbath, a day off. As it says in the Judeo-Christian tradition, on the seventh day, they rest. So today's the seventh day. Let's rest. As we say in Dzogchen, rest your weary heart and mind. And let go, let things come and go, let be. Cultivate great equanimity, spiritual detachment, not indifference or complacence, but spiritual attachment and objectivity. Clear our vision, and everything becomes clearer. When I become clearer, everything becomes clearer, as Buddha might have said. Actually, what Buddha said, and this is something to chew on, they say he said beneath the Bodhi tree after enlightenment, when I was awakened or enlightened, however you want to translate that, even all were enlightened, even the rocks and the trees. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. That's something to chew on. How do rocks and trees get enlightened? Well, if we need a new vision, not see different things, but see things differently, even the inanimate objects of this world have to be considered and see them differently. Not just, how can a rock become more conscious and enlightened? That's a nice, low-level, rational thought. But how can we see the same things differently? So through Buddha vision, even the mud is the Buddha field of lotuses, potentially, now or later, beyond time. And shadows are nothing but light. How many times have I said that? Check it out. And the shadow sides of our own psyche are also part of the inner light, the clear light, or divinity. Let's open the closet doors and aerate those skeletons in the closet, and those shadow parts of ourselves. Awareness is curative, friends. Perhaps the most important word in Buddhism that we don't know about very often here is Bhavana Cultivation. Yes, we always hear mindfulness, loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, interconnectedness, the Four Noble Truths. But Bhavana cultivation is the active ingredient in all these, as if like citrus-like fruits. It's the vitamin C, it's the active ingredient common to all the citrus fruits. It's the active ingredient in our spiritual development. Cultivating loving kindness, not just praying for it or affirming it like in New Age affirmations. Cultivating loving kindness. Metta Bhavana is the meditation of metta, of loving kindness. Metta Bhavana, cultivation of loving kindness. Sati Bhavana, cultivation of mindfulness, not just praying for it, not just learning about it intellectually. And all the Panacean virtues of the Bodhisattva, the awakener, the altruistic, compassionate spiritual leader, the Bodhisattva, the Buddha to be, the Bodhisattva. The paramitas, the Panacean virtues of the Bodhisattva, cultivating generosity, dana paramita, not just praying for it or doing things to get recognition or your name on a plaque on the wing of the hospital that you donated. But giving without expectation of return, that's noble generosity. That's the Panacean virtue of dana, of generosity. Cultivating generosity, cultivating moral self-discipline, cultivating patient forbearance, and so on. Bhavana, cultivation. That's why we practice. We cultivate our own potential and inner gifts and talents, if you want to talk in kind of American terms. We cultivate our best self. We cultivate what we are and can be, to put it a little bit in reverse and outside time. Who we are and can be. That's the message. Awakening to who we are, our true nature, and can be. And bringing that forward in the world. Bringing it off the back burner, our better self. The better angels of our true nature, as Lincoln called it. To the front burner. Not rejecting any part of ourselves, but maybe a figure ground shift and putting our animal self or our lower self, our ego, survival-oriented self in the back burner. It's important, but more important is the fullness of being, the self-actualization, as Maslow called it in his wisdom, wise psychology. Yes, psychology is part of it. Transpersonal psychology is not just about worldly success, with coping with this life. There are so many levels of psychology that we could consider. Buddhism, 1/3 of it, the Abhidharma, psychophilosophy. You could call it psychology. It's really psychophilosophy. It's 2,600 years old. Western modern psychology is only developed 200 years old, and last by Mesmer, Freud, Jung, etc. Our friends. So this is something people have been thinking about and working on and cultivating a deeper understanding of for a long time. And we're all part of that lineage and tradition. Knowing ourselves. What did Socrates say, the father of Western philosophy? Know thyself. I've heard that my whole life, but who really understood it or got into it until, I don't know, my college years. I don't know about you. It's not that obvious. But that's what awakening, the path of enlightenment, of self-knowledge, self-realization, insight is about. Insight out, bringing insight out. It's an inside job, as Sylvia Boorstein says in one of her books. Buddhism is an inside job, but not just inside as opposed to outside, but beyond inside and outside, just going deeper, looking deeper into everything, your relations as well as the interior life. And yes, it's an important message to look deeper, to turn the searchlight, the spotlight inward, as Mahatma Gandhi called it. Because we're so externally oriented in our socialization, education process. So externally oriented. It's a good balance to turn inwards, but it's not a one-way street. Outwards, inwards, in between, all around, 3 or 4 or 5 dimensionally, including roundabouts, rotaries, all kinds of intersections and matrices. I'm laughing. I can't not mention this when I mention the word matrices. which has a lot to do with the mandala principle, holograms, and so on. Mr. Tibet in New York, Bob Thurman, the Dalai Lama's translator and first main Western disciple, Bob Thurman. He loved the movie Matrix, The Matrix, with Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, so much that he saw it at least 20 times. That's what it comes down to, finally, really getting into things and reflecting on them deeper and again and again. If you're interested, check out Bob Thurman's books, or even better, his podcasts, his rants, diatribes, and talks. Brilliant, genius, theatrical, marvelous pioneer of Buddhism in the West. Also notable as the father of Uma Thurman and founder of Tibet House in New York. But these days, I notice that people seem to be more interested in secular spirituality, in mindfulness, in yoga for health and longevity and looks, than in the deeper goals of God realization or union, or oneness, enlightenment, awakening, realization. Let's not forget that aspect as we go into the postmodern, further into the postmodern era and secular materialism, as religion seems a bit disappointing and part of the problem instead of part of the solution. The word religio, I read, the root is unity or to bring together. Unfortunately, sometimes we seem to find religions conducive to the opposite, tearing us apart, whether it's theological, philosophical sectarianism, local partisan sectarian politics, or worse, religious wars, inquisitions, crusades. I'm not giving you to mention Afghanistan and, what religiosity, extreme religiosity has done in the Middle East over so many centuries and generations, especially now. But to be spiritual, to cultivate wisdom and love, a wakefulness, rather than sleepwalking through life semi-consciously, feeling victimized or looking for someone to blame for our dissatisfaction. To be wise elders rather than jaded old fools. This is something worth cultivating and thinking about at any age as we mature and become spiritual mensches, real people, authentic, not just grown up in years, but inner maturity. I don't know what's happening with modern higher education. It's been a struggle in the last few years with the COVID pandemic, with online, but it's been a struggle for quite a while. America used to be number one in that, in higher education. Now we're way down on the scale. And I think part of the problem is that we've mistaken higher education and learning how to learn and become a learner the rest of our lives. We've mistaken higher education for mere vocational training to get a job, to get ahead in life. Of course, that could be part of it. But I noticed that near here on the gates, the cement gates to the, doing the math, quick arithmetic, 300 years old Harvard University, maybe 350, the stone gates, it says, "Enter here, ye who seek wisdom." And whenever my friends and I walk through there, we kind of roll our eyes a little bit, think of our own class, the philosophy classes we went to, and how we left because it didn't seem that wisdom oriented, more sophistry and comparative thinking. And we sought it elsewhere, in Eastern wisdom, in consciousness experiments, including the drug revolution of the 60s and 70s, meditation, including meditation and yoga and Tai Chi, vegetarianism, nonviolence, the creative arts, communal living, and other things. And these ideals of idealistic communities and finding a better way of life. And we're still cultivating those intentions and aspirations. So cultivation is so important. Even my erstwhile neighbor, Henry David Thoreau of Walden Pond, who lived around here in the Lake District of Eastern Massachusetts, not so far from Boston, and Concord and Lexington, where the Revolutionary War started. Thoreau in the 18, who can remember 20s, 30s, 40s. His guru Emerson went to Harvard. Thoreau went to Bowdoin College. He said he's more interested in reading the eternities than the news, and that today's news seems very much like yesterday's news and tomorrow. That was 200 years ago on the frontier, the western frontier here, when the frontier hadn't moved toward the Mississippi and the West Coast yet. Even 200 years ago, Thoreau, who said, "I'd rather sit on a pumpkin than a throne," was thinking about this. Read the eternities, not just today's news, and commenting on the media that we all have to deal with today. I'm not even going to pick on social media, the media era that we've been in since Marshall McLuhan and advertising was invented and other things. I'd rather read the news, the eternities, than the news. And the news seems so much the same today as yesterday and tomorrow. Check it out. You'll see what I mean. I remember when I was in a 3-year retreat and we didn't have news and electronic communications for 3 years, 3 months and 3 days, doing the traditional Tibetan Lama training in the early 80s in my teacher's monastery, cloistered monastery. We didn't get mail but every 3 months or something like that. I remember I'd get a pile of mail from home, or from my friends, relative, from my bank, etc. And it didn't matter. There wasn't anything in there that I needed to get, in the first weeks or months. I'd get it 3 months at a time, and it would all be the same. While we were reading the eternities and not staying up with the news. So it's a time to think beyond relative time of past, present, future, and also consider the timeless wisdom quest, the true holy grail, the philosopher's stone, to know ourselves and each other and who we are and can be, and realize our great potential and inculcate it in the younger generations and pass on what we can, but also pass on, and by our example, the inspiration, the higher aspirations to go deeper, to be authentic, to find our true vocation, not just make a living, but make a life, as we call it in Buddhism, wise vocation, right livelihood, making a life, not just a living, learning more, not just trying to earn more, and cultivate an education in the institutions or without. Wisdom for life education, a true higher education, not just vocational training, for the betterment of all. So breathing, relaxing, and smiling is an important counterintuitive part of this higher education. We don't need any books right now or analysis. Awareness is curative, awareness with a capital A plus, just being with a capital B plus. See? It's delicious. I could go on. I'm not going to play because we're serious today. It's a Sunday sermon. And curiosity rebirthed the cat. Breathing, relaxing, smiling. Breathe, relax, center and focus, smile. Let yourself arrive and settle. I can see that the bodies have arrived, but has your mind arrived? Gather your so-called scattered thoughts in here and now and channeling them into the present moment. Of course, it's the only place they could ever be, but let's go through the exercise, and as if we're faking it till we make it, because they're already here. The mind really doesn't wander anywhere else. If you have a bigger frame, it's all a whole. Gather your scattered thoughts and energies and let it arrive. Has your energy arrived here on your seat in your body? So breathing, relaxing, collecting ourselves. That's one other translation of the word mindfulness. Smriti, sati, recollectedness, recollecting what we're doing while we're doing it, rather than forgetting what we're doing, being absent-minded, having great presence of mind, recollecting ourselves, remindfulness, I like to call it, remembering to remember what we're doing while we're doing it. This breath, only breath. If you're observing the breath, if you're practicing anapanasati or breath awareness meditation. This moment, only moment, if you're practicing nowness awareness, presencing, unmeditation, undoing the habit of overdoing, remembering just this syllable, only syllable, if you're chanting a prayer or mantra. Just hearing the sound, only sound, if you're listening to the source of sounds, and everything is music, this note, only note. As Buddha said, in hearing there is just hearing, nothing to listen to, nothing to listen for, no one hearing it. Let me comment, just pure process. Some people think the five senses are like five gateways, and there's a little monkey or a consciousness inside each window looking out. That's fine for a cartoon book or a children's story, but it's just five facets of consciousness. Consciousness looking out, looking in, looking at ourselves, the big sphere, the whole, the totality, the great crystal globe of consciousness. I used to meditate thinking, wouldn't it be great to invent a computer that could do all these things? Well, now we have computers that could beat us at chess and drive cars and planes, artificial intelligences, but there's still no greater, quote, computer or processor than, I don't want to say the mind exactly. How about consciousness, chitta, the heart mind, intuition? There's no greater computer. It's the one that invents and develops computers and computer programs, the hardware, the software, and the hardware. We need to open our arteries here to intuition, to direct perception, unmediated by thought, analysis, and naming and conceptualizing. Just for this moment. Later we can analyze and choose and discern the best route to drive somewhere today on Sunday. But right now, this is the best route. This is the perfect time. You are the right person in the right place at the right time. Dig it. Where else should you be? And if you should be, why aren't you there? So be here now, as tradition says. Nowness awareness, the authentic Buddha within. In the Vajrayana, it's called the five certainties, or the five precious endowments. This is the perfect time, the right time, the samabona, the holy now. This is the perfect time, the right time. This is the right place, wherever you are. This is the right teaching. This is reality expressing itself right now. Dig it. Tune in. This is the right teacher, the source, the Buddha, personifying truth, awakefulness, total clarity, clear vision. And hardest of all, swell, the right student is sitting on your seat. The right gathering is gathered right here. The five certainties: perfect time, perfect place, perfect teaching, perfect teacher, perfect student. And it's dynamic. Again, process in seeing, just seeing, nothing to look for or look at, no one seeing it. Beyond outside and inside, self and other. Process. One whole rainbow arc of being and becoming, self and other, relational, interwoven, interconnected, interdependent, interbeing, intermeditating together, interbeing, co-meditating right now. Just sitting, just breathing, just awaring, awareness is a verb, presencing, awakening in the presence of God or Goddess, if you like, in the Pure Land, in paradise, heaven on earth, awakening in the presence, the present. It's a gift. That's why it's called the present. Presencing, aware of whatever arises in the body-mind continuum in the present moment right now. Awareful, mindful rather than mindless, heedful rather than heedless, incandescently, lucidly present and attentive. Again, the instruction, just sitting, just breathing, just being aware, present, awakeful, observing what is, whatever comes up, allowing it to arise and dissolve, all the ripples on the stream of consciousness, just allowing it to go by, all the flotsam and jetsam on the surface, the river of awareness, without giving in to attraction or aversion, just letting come and go, letting go. It means letting be, friends. Letting go means letting be. That's the secret. Great acceptance, great equanimity just for now. Later we can enter into proactive, liberating Buddha activity. This is enough for now. We have our full medicine, just being, awareness, aware of awareness, being, not being a separate being or person, but our persona and our self-concept, but just being itself, the flow, the great Tao. And how, right now, Imaho. Yes, thank you. Enjoy the buoyant joy of non-meditation, undoing the habit of overdoing, of pure presence, awareness, aware, awareness, uncompartmentalized, just breathing, just sitting, just aware, present, and accountable. Imaho. This breath, only breath, this moment, only moment. Not joking. Imaho. Wondrous, amazing. Eureka. Hallelujah. Amen. Thank you. Awareness alone, a great transparent eyeball, the big tickly, the ultimate sphere, 360 degrees, sphere of radiant awareness, incandescent presence. Cultivate it, be it, settle into it, enjoy it, gratefully. I love it. Love. Yes. Thank you. Right now. It's now or never as always. Why wait? First, centering, settling, arriving, relaxing, settling. Second, intensifying, perhaps with the self-inquiry question, who or what is experiencing? Turn back upon yourself. Try to perceive the perceiver, see the seer. See through the seer and be free. Or just heightening your lucid, attentive, present awareness. Intensifying the second step of any meditation process. This moment, only moment, beyond past or future. Just this, just this, just this much as it is. Just this, perfect, complete, as is. See it as it is, leave it as it is, be as is. The 3-in-1 steps of the natural great perfection. The 3 vital points. Imaho. First settling, arriving, second intensifying, third releasing, allowing, dropping everything, and then sense as it is. Direct perception, lucid cognition, clear seeing, seeing it as it is, not as it ain't. Seeing it as it is, second leaving it as it is, third being as is. The view, meditation, and action of the natural great perfection, subject. The round path and fruit of the luminous great completeness, subject. As it is. Awareness alone, naked awareness, pure presence, cultivating presence by presencing, allowing, letting be. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu So Ham Tare Tu Tare Tu So mantra number 4 here. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu So Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Soha. Tara's mantra, the female Buddha Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Tu So Om Tare Tu Tare Tu So Om Tare Tu Tare Tu So Om Tare Re tu tare so ham tare tu tare trie so ha ha tare tu tare trie so ha. Singing is believing. Om tare tu tare trie so ha. Om tare tu tare trie so ha. Om tare tu tare trie so ha ha. Tare tu tare trie so ha. Homage to Holy Arya Tara, Buddha Mother Tara, womb of all the Buddhas, womb of enlightenment, Prajnaparamita, Mahashunyata, the effulgent shining void. Homage to Tara and all beings. Don't overlook them. Yay, Tara. White Tara, green Tara, red Tara, purple Tara, yellow Tara, gold Tara. So many colors of Tara in the traditional iconography of Himalayan Buddhism, of Vajrayana Buddhism. So diverse, such multiplicity, every possible color, each has a function. White Tara, Chintamani, Chakra Tara, the wheel of deathless life. Jetson Palmadroma, Green Tara, the liberator, liberatress of enlightening Buddha activity, swift responder to prayers. Green, like chlorophyll, like Mother Earth, like spiritual growth hormone. Red Tara, the transformation of passion into compassion, and so on. So many Taras. Tara in your own seat. Every molecule, a lotus with Tara on it. All women, Tara. All beings, Tara beyond gender, as still said. Tara, they say Tara in the Tara Sutras, the Tara aeons ago, as a Mahabodhisattva, as a great Bodhisattva, renounced entering into nirvana, full enlightenment, and vowed to be reborn in the female form as long as there was discrimination against females or anyone, any minority. You can read about that in books about Tara, which are many. I love Tara. She was the Istadevata, the inner deity of the 16th Buddha Karmapa, my root guru. And he gave that empowerment, that to me. So that was my yidam, my inner deity or true identity too. So our lineage is dynamic. It's not just passive, dynamic, like bringing Dharma to the new lands, like constant awakening and evolution of consciousness, like adaptation and innovation, not just preservation, and so on. Being the flow, not just going with the flow, but trying to get into the flow, recognizing the flow goes through you right now, Joe, Jeff, John, and all of you, by whatever syllable, whatever first letter, just as sweet. Yay, Tara. We love you, Tara. In our Tibetan monasteries, we always, regardless of the sects or traditions, chant the 21, the long liturgical prayer and praise and chant the 21 praises to Tara 12 times every morning, 21 praises, 84 lines, 12 times each morning as part of the Tara ritual or offerings to Tara, to get our motors going, get our engines warmed up and get going in life. Before the Tara Puja, we practice Palhari. What's that called in English? It's like vegan, I guess. Not have any meat or eggs or anything with blood in it or animal products. It's a Tara tradition. The first Tara prayer or transmission I received was from His Holiness the 12th Gyalwang Drukpa's father, the Dzogchen Nyingmapa master from Katok Monastery in Eastern Tibet, Bero Tuku Rinpoche, a wonderful, laughing, learned, lovey Lama. The Gyalwang Drukpa's late, recently deceased father, Bero Tuku Rinpoche of Katok Monastery in Eastern Tibet. And he gave me this short prayer, which we don't hear that much in the West, but it's short. We could like it and use it. Jetson Palmadroma Checheno, Jigdan Dugel Kunlek Abdu Sol. And he said, if you chant that 100,000 times, you'll always be guided and protected by Tara with her swift acting, swift responding Buddha activity. Jetson Palmadroma Checheno, dear, holy Buddha Mother, sublime, liberatress, heed me, hear us, turn this way. Jigdan Dungel Kunlek Abdu Sol. Please free us from all danger, harm, fear, illness, and suffering, and bless us to reach your level of great enlightenment. So I pass that on to you today, Jetson Droma, Jigdan Dungel Kunlek Abdu Sol. And you can add the prayers in yourself to Tara as your heart wishes. Heal us all from the pandemic, rebalance the environment, rebalance the social injustice and inequality of our world, and so on. So thank you all. No time for some more final prayers that we could read from the Dzogchen Center prayer book. I did want to invite you all and remind you soon, October 2nd, is our next retreat, virtual retreat online here, day-long retreat from 9 to 4, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Boston Time. It's called the Clear Light Meditation, Awakening the Inner Radiance. And I love these one-day retreats. If we dedicate the day to it, we can really have a retreat and intensify or go deeper, learn more, quote, get away from it all and embrace it all at the same time. And it's the last day long of this calendar year 2021, although we will continue them in the winter and spring and summer, etc. of 2022. And certainly continue them even if and when we get going again with in-person residential silent meditation retreats at various places in the country. The next master class is a few Saturdays from now. If you're interested in that, please join. We had one yesterday from 11 to 1, master class on the 5 certainties, the 5 precious endowments of the great perfection. So thank you all. Thanks to all those who helped and volunteered to keep us going. Please consider donating to keep the Dzogchen Foundation going during this pandemic when we don't have any in-person retreats or local group meetings or workshops. Look at our new website, tune in, join as members, do what you can to become better people and contribute to a better world and a better future, the better future that begins right now. American Buddhas awaken. Throw off your chains, your neurosis and hang-ups, your concepts. Open those beautiful blue eyes, blue as an orange. Imaho. Thank you. Stay well and healthy wherever you go. Kelly, did you want to say anything? Make any announcements? Say bye-bye?
You covered it, Mama. Thank you. All the links are in the chat for donations, masterclass, and the day-long retreat on October 2nd. So,
bye.
Take care. Love you, Mama.
Happy trails. Love to one and all.